Hello. So in today's video, we are going to be building a house for these little guys here. We've got some orange isopods, specifically orange Scaber isopods, which I bought online. And these little guys, they showed up pretty fast. They showed up in about 3 days. And they're only in this little thing. There should be about 15 or so of them in here. Let me just see if I can get this open here. So here they are. As I was saying, they're pretty cool colors. They're a deep orange. I was hoping they'd be a little brighter orange, maybe something more on the lines of that orange, but hopefully these guys are going to breed lots and we'll have a big colony. So I ordered this online, and yes, it showed up in about 3 days. Some of them even have white spots on them as well, and I was wondering if maybe we could get more of those ones, because they kind of look like the creamsicle isopods. So yeah, we're going to be building a new home in this Tupperware bin here. As you can see, it is much bigger than what they are in right now. So I have all the materials here. Basically, I have some soil here. This is specifically ABG terrarium mixed, which I'm using because this is the first time I've ever kept something like this. So I'm not too experienced. So this is more of an experiment just to see how this goes. So there are going to be multiple videos, hopefully, as long as I stay consistent. But the ABG mix is just going to help keep things from going downhill, because I don't want to accidentally kill these little buggers. So we have that soil there, ABG mix. Now I have some leaf litter here. That's going to be good for eating for them. And then I also have under this cutting mat, we have some sphagnum moss, but I need to get it all moisturized up with some moisture and get it all good and fluffy and stuff. So yeah, this is what we're going to be housing them in. It's just a small little Tupperware bucket. I also have some screen door liner, which we're going to be cutting some holes in this here to make some ventilation points. So yeah, that is what we're going to be doing. The first step on this build is specifically to get ventilation holes. Now, again, since this is my first time, hopefully this isn't going to be too bad. But hopefully they don't die. These little guys are pretty expensive. 25 bucks just for the bugs themselves, and then also 25 bucks for shipping. So all in all, I spent 50 bucks on the bugs, and then who knows how much I spent on everything else. So hopefully this goes well, and hopefully there isn't any issues. But basically, we're just going to be taking this little knife. I'm going to be cutting a small hole here, not too big, a hole on the lid, and then another hole at the back over here. And then we're going to have a dry side over here and then a wet side over here, which is where the sphagnum moss is going to help keep moisture for these little guys. And hopefully we can cultivate a nice little culture in here. And then in the future, we're going to be moving them over to this much larger Tupperware bin, which then will repeat the process. And then hopefully we can start selling some of these guys. And the long-term goal is ultimately to have these guys cultivate in at least a Tupperware bin this big. I would also like to get some other Scabers, specifically the Dalmatian ones, because I do want to try breeding these little guys, but since I'm so new, I'm of course going to wait till I can actually house them and keep them alive and healthy for a good little while. So we're going to start with these little orange Scabers. Once I can get my hands on some Dalmatian Scabers, we're also going to be cultivating a colony of those guys. And then once they get both to the size of being able to be a huge colony in that bin down there, then we'll get a third bin and we'll mix them together and hopefully get some orange Dalmatian Scabers out of that, because those guys should be pretty cool looking, because these guys are already very cool looking already. Okay, so I've gone ahead and roughly marked out the holes for each ventilation point. So again, there's going to be 2 here, 1 there, and 1 there, just on one side of this bucket. And then this lid will have one big hole, not too much bigger than the other ones, but it will be right here, so that we have, again, on one side, one dry side, and then one wet side. Now it's time to go ahead and cut the holes in this thing. Okay guys, I've accidentally broken the Tupperware bucket here. There seems to be 2 cracks right there. So I guess if you want to try this yourself, do be careful if you're going to use something like this tool here. This seems a little flimsy. This is probably the wrong tool to use actually, but we've gone this far, so oh well. At this point in the build, I really realized how bad this tool was. It not only was difficult to use, it ruined the box that I was trying to make so nice. So I don't recommend using this tool for cutting any types of plastics because it could just break it. Okay, so here's our hole here. It is pretty sloppy, but this should do just fine for keeping animals in. I also have hot glue guns, so we can just glue that up. Everything should be fine. And then we'll go ahead and start doing the holes on these ones. So for ventilation here, we're going to be using this basically screen door mesh here. It is very, very fine. No way these bugs are ever going to be able to get through this. I hope. Maybe the springtails can get out. There are some springtails in there, which I didn't originally think about, but hopefully this should work good. Unfortunately, I did have to get this super long roll here, but this should just work pretty good. All we need is little itty bitty squares to go over there. So if you could find something like shorter, like literally like half the size of this, it would probably work much better for you. But we're going to go ahead and cut some squares out of this to put them all over here. Then we are going to be using a hot glue gun, which I actually should open and start heating up. We're going to use hot glue to seal everything in so that nothing can fall off. It's just going to go around the edges. Okay, so I've cut out a big square up the mesh here, which is looking perfect. So basically, again, all we need is something to cover this hole with. So we are just going to go ahead and cut some squares now for this Tupperware container. Again, all you need is basically this mesh used for screen doors. Now this is where I would recommend this tool. This actually worked really, really well for cutting this out. So basically we take this, we put it over our hole just like this, and then none of our little buggies can get out. We'll do that for this side as well. We may actually use this one for this side. It's looking pretty good size there. And then we'll do one for the top as well. So now we need to hot glue them onto the Tupperware containers. Again, this is going to be the tricky part because I accidentally bought glue sticks that were way too big to fit in the glue gun that I bought. Luckily, it's all dollar store stuff, so it shouldn't be too hard to fix or replace here. Unless I have another glue stick or glue gun in my house, which I'm not sure about, and I don't really feel like looking for right now. We are just going to use this horrible, horrible method where I attempt to get these little meshes on top. Now, this was the biggest headache in this entire project. The fact that I didn't grab the right glue sticks for the glue gun just made this whole project a nightmare. This honestly should have only taken about like 20 minutes to half an hour of just straight work to get this entire thing done, but because I had the wrong glue stick, I was like really struggling to get anything to stick. At first I just tried sticking the glue stick on the tip of the hot glue gun, melting it after some bit of time, and then trying to smear it on the mesh, and that didn't work very well. And at some point I gave up on that, and I grabbed those big blue shears you can see at the end of the table, and I cut the glue stick right in half, and then I trimmed it up, and then I ended up shoving it down the inside middle part of the glue gun, not even the end hole, and then I just brute force pushed it in there, and because the middle of it was so hot, it eventually just kind of melted the glue stick halfway, and I did get glue to come out so I could actually finish it up much faster, but for the first little bit it was an absolute nightmare. Buy the right glue sticks. It will save you so much time. Again, we're going to be using this for the main substrate. It is pre-mixed AGB or ABG or ABG terrarium mix. So I was told by my local keepers that this stuff should be well good enough for these little Isopod guys. It has some cork bark already in it. There is a little bit of sphagnum moss, but gonna need a little bit more than that. There's a big chunk of something or other there. I will actually take that out just because I have some cork bark right there, which we're going to be using for a little hide for these guys. Anyways, and we'll do just a little more. I have to do a little sweep after as well. Okay, so this looks about good here. Now for the wet side, which is going to be on this side of the enclosure, I am just going to dig a little trench. Now I saw this on YouTube, so I'm not too sure exactly how this is going to work out. But the guy I was watching dug a little trench on this side, just like that. And then he took sphagnum moss and he basically tucked it all down in this corner over here, just like this. So we had a little, I don't know what you would call it, a little trench. Yeah, a little trench of sphagnum moss, just for the website, just to keep moisture really, really good over here. And maybe we'll add just a few more strands in there. There we go. So, and then we just want to water that side. Just make sure that it is good and hydrated for these little guys. That should be plenty enough. Now, I'm not too sure about how watering is going to go. I know you do have to water them every once in a while. But we will learn that together, I guess. So then I've got this big bag of leaf litter here, which we're going to be using for some food and stuff. And then for other stuff, I'm not going to be adding calcium tablets. I'm just going to be doing eggs for that stuff. So we will see what I add to this. Maybe I'll throw some fruits or veggies in there just for now. So for the leaf litter, we're just going to throw it in just like this. Now this is actually probably quite a bit, but my goal is to build a giant, awesome empire of little buggies. So I'll kind of have them on the edge. I think I want to throw the cork bark in the middle. It's going to be a good hide for them and stuff. I throw a bunch of this stuff everywhere, but this should keep them good and healthy for a little while. Now for the cork bark. Hopefully this stuff is just pretty, yeah, easy to break and stuff. So I'm going to do this side just on the top, just here. This is going to kind of be across the entire thing in the middle area. And then this should actually be good. So yeah, there's no way they can really get out. Just double checking, because I really don't want them to. But this should be the entire build here. So after an entire hour of trying to build this thing with the wrong glue stick size and a horrible little knife tool, we eventually did get it done, and I think it doesn't actually look too bad. It should be an adequate place for these little guys to live. Again, there's no way for these guys to get out. They're just going to live under that cork bark, which they have been doing for the last few days. After I put them in here, which there was about 20 of them, I was supposed to get around 15 plus it said on the website, so around 20 was a bit more than I was expecting, so I'm pleasantly pleased about that. But I did find one or two had died after moving them in. I'm not sure why this is. Maybe it just could have been due to stresses from transportation. Maybe the temperature wasn't good, or maybe I didn't set the habitat up fast enough. I did put them in that enclosure the same day that they actually arrived. So there wasn't really any issue of like waiting too long or anything like that. And again, they did arrive in 3 days after I ordered them. But yeah, all in all, this build was really fun. These guys are doing pretty good right now. As I said, they've been in here for a few days. They're all under that cork bark that I put in there. I put some eggshells in there, and I did end up breaking the leaf litter down just into little bits because I didn't like the way that the big leaves looked. So it's actually looking pretty good. So yeah, hopefully more updates will come in the future, and then we can start breeding these guys as well.